Hi, how you doing? I hope you're doing well. So today we are going to look at another problem. This is a Leetcode problem. I'm certain if you have been preparing for your coding interviews, I'm certain you have either used Leetcode or HackerRank before. So today we're going to look at this problem, which is actually a very famous coding interview problem. Companies like Microsoft have asked this problem in their interviewing sessions. So yeah, we're going to have a look at it, and I'm going to solve it in Python, of course. And yeah, we're going to look at the approach in case you're asked in an interviewing setting. Okay, so the question here is that you're given two non-empty linked lists representing two non-negative integers. The digits are stored in a reverse order, and each of their nodes contain a single digit. Add the two numbers and return it as a linked list. We're also told to assume that the two numbers do not contain any leading zero except the number 0 itself. So here's an example. We have this linked list and we have this linked list. We are told that the digits are stored in a reverse order, meaning that the number here is 342, not 243. And the number here is 465 and not 564. Okay, so when you add 342 plus 465, you get 807. So basically, you're supposed to create a function which, when given two linked lists which contain numbers, our function should be able to add the numbers and give us the final result as a linked list. Yeah, we're supposed to return it as a linked list. How do you approach this problem? First, you really need to know about linked lists and how they work. So if you have not grasped the idea behind linked lists, I'd advise you to first look into linked lists before getting to approach this problem. Okay, so how we would approach this problem basically is, one, we know how we perform the basic additions. So using that knowledge is what we would apply when it comes to solving this problem here. So what we would do is that we would traverse both lists, the two linked lists that we have, and then one by one we would pick the nodes of both lists and then add them, add their values. So another thing that we need to consider here is that, one, you should consider the length of the linked list. The length of the linked list could not be the same. One could be longer than the other. So that is one important condition that we need to consider, because we do not want to get a null pointer value in our program. We also have to remember that we need to have a carry variable, and we should also remember to always carry over the excess data to the next node. So those are the few pointers that you have to remember when it comes to solving this problem. Okay, so onto the solution. So the first step here is that I would create the variables. So we're supposed to have the return linked list that we are going to return here. So we would go ahead and create the list using the constructor that we've been given. So it's gonna start from 0, and then we are going to have a carry variable and initialize it with 0. Always remember to carry over the excess value to the next node. So what am I saying? It's just like the normal addition. Let's say you're adding 89 plus, let's say, 92. When you add 9 and 2, you get 11, and then you have to carry, you have to put a single digit 1 and carry the extra 1. So that is what I mean. That is the same way this code here is gonna work. So our first step is we would go ahead and create the variables. So I'm on to the next step. What we are going to do is that we're going to check whether the linked list actually exists or not. And then what we do is that we go ahead and iterate or go through the linked list and check for their nodes and add them. So that is what we're going to do in this second step. Okay. L1 or L2 or carry. So what we do is we check whether they actually exist. So if L1, what we do is that we would add the carry value to L1. And then iterate to the next. And then if L2, we do the same thing. And then you iterate to the next. So you might have the question that what does this if here if L1 here and if L2 here does. So this is going to cover the condition whereby if one list is longer than the other, it's gonna prevent the error, the null pointer value. Okay, so this here was our first step and this here is our second step. Okay, so let's go on to the third step. We're supposed to update L3 and carry. So let's do this. Step 3. What we do is that we would update L3 and carry. So, and how do we do that? So we want our carry digit to be the single rightmost digit. So that is how you update it. Okay, and then you check. So here we're trying to update L3, sorry. So if L1 or L2 or carry, what we do is that we would go ahead to the next node. Sorry. Okay, and then we go ahead. This is, we have already created a new node, so we have iterated to the next node, and then okay, so when we go through the entire loop, what we do is we return the head. So this is basically a simple way of approaching this problem. Let's run our code and see if it actually works. So yeah, we have a syntax error, return outside function. So our return head is supposed to be after the entire loop. Okay, I know what the problem is. We're supposed to indent that. And then our return head is supposed to be there. Sorry, I hope you've noticed that indenting is actually very important in Python. So, okay, so our code actually works. So I hope you've seen what our code does. And I hope you actually get the explanation behind this and how to approach this problem. If you want to have a detailed explanation in writing of how I've done this, I have a Medium article explaining how this is done, and I'm gonna drop the link on my description. So yeah, so we're going to go ahead and submit. And yeah, our code is actually working. So this is how to approach this problem in case you're asked in an interviewing setting. Okay, so thank you so much, and I hope you actually keep practicing this coding interview problems. And yeah, thank you.